Welcome back to Hadassah's Discernment. This is my first visit back for the month of May. Have we, after we have concluded the first quarter, January, February, March, and we're talking about walking ourselves out of financial debt. It is not a plan to increase your financial portfolio, but it is an emergency plan to walk ourselves out of financial debt. As I said before, we're going to use a 7 point system where we look at our strength uh, of how we can save and do not spend money, financial strength. We look at our parents and then we look at our grandparents on our paternal and maternal sides, and we draw their strengths. We observed, we see what they have done, and we apply those strengths to our lives. And we had a 3 point objectives that we looked at. Three objectives where we will freeze unnecessary spending, freeze unnecessary spending. Then we'll take 10% of after we have deducted our liabilities for that month, we'll take 10% of what was left over and we save that for 3 months. And that that what that was sorry, that we saved for those 3 months, that will become a whole. And then we say we'll take 10% out of that whole for the 3 months, January, February, March. We'll take 10% out of that and we will put towards that debt that is very um, disturbing, that that has us up all the time, that takes a lot out of our earnings. And then we included that giving is an integral part of walking ourselves out of financial debt. And we will repeat that throughout the year. Coming back in May now, we're talking April, May, June. We are looking now, we would have already got a minor increase in our salaries, not anything to match inflation. But the objective is we're going to be working at the same level of our previous salary. That we're having that increased, we will put it towards our savings. And that increase is going to be added to the 90% that we did not touch after we have deducted the 10% from the 3 months accumulation. So this is how we are going to walk ourselves out of financial debt. Meaning, for the rest of the year, we'll be spending less. That's one way. We're not including that 1%, 2%, how many percent you got in the increase in salary this year. That is going towards your 90% after your 3 months accumulation, after you deduct the 10%. And you are building now your financial reserves. You're building your financial reserves. It has to come with a certain amount of discipline and the will to walk ourselves out of financial debt. For us to be indebted to the big banks and all the credit card companies, that is not living, that is not life. That is a struggle. That is a struggle. You live, you exchange your time, you have exchanged your time to go and to give it to someone else. You are giving away your life to the big banks and the credit card companies. And I am here to show you another path for those of you who have already fell into that trap. I am here to advise you and to guide you of how you can walk yourselves out of financial debt. So, beginning in what should have begun in April, May, and June is the that increase that we would have received from our employer, or we have given ourselves if we are self-employed. We are taking that and put it towards the 90% that we would have accumulated after the 3 months. Every month from January to March, we were to save 10% after deducting our liabilities. What was left? 10%. That 10% should have been accumulated in January, February, March. At the end of March, that 10 from each month becomes a whole. That those 10, they became a whole. And then from that whole, we would have deducted 10% and put it towards the major financial debt. And then we have 90%, and that 90% was to go to our financial reserves or financial savings. That 90%, along with the extra, that increase that you've gotten from your employer or you've given yourself for the new year, we are taking that 5 or 10, and we are adding it monthly to that 90% and continuing the monthly putting aside. At the end of the year, we say that we are not going to trouble that money unless it is absolutely necessary. At the end of the year, we should be less in debt. We should have covered a significant amount of our debt, providing we are not spending, we have frozen unnecessary spending. Second, we would have been able to develop a financial reserve for ourselves. It takes time. After this year, we are going to focus now on how we are going to retire. What are our aims of retirement? That's for people like me. And then you have for the younger persons, you're going to look now at how are you going to go about purchasing of your own home. Is it wise? What are you going to do? How are you going to program yourself financially for the rest of your life? Living in financial debt is a choice, and it is a poor choice. It is giving away of your life to the big banks and the credit card companies, because you're exchanging your time, your life for money, and then you're taking that money every month and you're repaying it for things that sometimes 75% of the times you either worn it or you've spent a holiday that is long gone, and okay, you have memories and you have photos, but it is nothing of substance. It's nothing substantial. Like if you have your own home, and then your own home now is, bringing in an income, or you have bought a car and that car is into hire and it's bringing in an income, or you have invested in a rental property and at the end of the month that is bringing in an income, or you have invested in the stock market or something that brings in return. Most times, persons who live most of their lives in that critical financial debt did not invest it in things that would have brought in returns. So I am here to guide you and to give you an option. This is a new path. It takes time. It takes focus and it takes discipline of how we can walk ourselves out of financial debt. Thank you and see you back next time.